best will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
Bom dia, alegria. Munson here with a Good Morning Portugal show live stream and podcast. How are you today? Tudo bem? Como estás? How was your weekend? How was that bon fin de semana? I hope you're well. Had a good one here. My hashtags for the weekend are good food, good company, and good progress. What are yours today? We have James joining us, of course, on this Mindful Migration Monday, and that rascal from the north of Portugal, Vitor Costa, who's been hobnobbing it with a few folks in the movers and shapers in the real estate industry. So any questions about buying in Portugal, especially the north of Portugal, the property scene? I imagine he's been talking to colleagues about what's going on in the property market in Portugal, so he'll have something to say about that. But he is, as you know, if you know, with Vitor Costa, he's a genuinely helpful fella, and he joins us at 9:30 this morning, and there he is in his everyday outfit, helping people. Superman Vitor Costa joining us, and Hug a Slug. He's thrown us all this morning with his new name in the chat this morning, Hug a Slug, which is a very nice sentiment. But as T-Duck has pointed out, he thought James was missing. Where's James? I don't see anyone with a 40-character screen name. Yes. Spot on there, T-Duck. And thank you for your wonderful contributions already this morning, along with the other wise men of the Gumpocalypse who are in from early on this morning. So, yeah, let us know how your weekend has been. Mine started on Friday, as it normally does, around Friday lunchtime, and a lovely meeting. Do you recognize any of these people on the screen? Look at this lovely lot. Yes, it's the Expats Portugal Dream Team who I was hanging out with on Friday evening at the wonderful Down Under restaurant in a really nice part of Lisbon, just up from the water, near the government assembly, the government buildings. I had the most amazing meal there, which I'll tell you more about. I tried gumbo for the first time, not there. I was transported to New Orleans on Sunday to San Martinho de Porto's pit stop. San Martinho de Porto, extremely busy over the last few days for the Festa de Santo Antonio, which I believe climaxed and culminated yesterday. And we're on telly there yesterday. The town was on telly on Somos Portugal. Amazing Festa weekend all over the country. I wonder how Filomena got on. Not heard from Filomena yet. I'm sure she's a bit, her feet are tired. But look at this wonderful crew here. I wonder how they got on at the Marchas Populares in their Miranda de Corvo over the weekend. I'm hoping we'll get a message from somebody. Pete might know the answer to that. How did they get on? Is it judged as it is in the Bairro head-to-head in the capital, Pete? Were the different teams of Miranda de Corvo competing against each other, or is it one big happy family in Miranda de Corvo? Either way, it'd be lovely to find out how it was there in central Portugal over the weekend. And yeah, do tell me how your weekend was. Please do. Let's see what's been going on in the chat. Actually, no, before I nearly forgot, because I'm not in the habit yet. Today is the beginning of the big new quiz. And I'm going to get into the habit of reminding you what the question is. We're all about learning about Portugal here on the Good Morning Portugal show. Every day, learn something new about Portugal every day. And today's quiz question, and I will remind you on the half hours. I might need you to remind me to remind you on the half hours, 8:30, just after we've started, 9 o'clock, 9:30, and before we finish. And then, of course, to give out the answer. I can't give out the answer to yesterday or Friday's quiz because we hadn't started it yet, but you get my drift. We will be doing the new quiz, the Learn About Portugal quiz, every morning, and you can go to gmpvip.com. The basic level, don't worry, you can go into the basic level at gmpvip.com to answer the question here, and people are already voting on what they think the answer is to this question. So here it is. Yes, the beginning of the new quiz here on Good Morning Portugal. I think I need one of these to get it started, don't I? If I can, if I can find it, yes. It's nice to resurrect that jingle, especially for this purpose. The Learn About Portugal quiz then for Monday, the 19th of June, as it is today. This question, not as straightforward as you might think. It does seem like a really easy peasy, according to the voting here, if you squint and look at the screen here. But the first question for this soon-to-be legendary new daily quiz on the Good Morning Portugal show, the Learn About Portugal quiz, is: in which year did Lisbon suffer its devastating and globally influential earthquake? That bit is important, or the globally influential part. In which year did Lisbon suffer its devastating and globally influential earthquake? People are already, I can hear you. I know, pick me. 1531, 1755, or 1761. Which year did Lisbon suffer its devastating and globally influential earthquake? And when you look into the story of the earthquake, it was an extraordinary event anyway. It was devastating for Lisbon and for Portugal, but it created a shock wave, literally, culturally, societally, from Lisbon and beyond. It really did. 1531, 1755, or 1761. You can probably the best thing to do is pop over there to gmpvip.com or learnaboutportugal.com. Will take you to the same place. And the pinned post is that question. We will return to that later on in the show. We're going to go for a God Squad tip of the day now from Coach Turner. And I've had an idea, Coach Turner. I think I'm going to re-embark on the God Squad program starting next week. I want to get that together. Yeah, one of my hashtags for my weekend, as well as good food, good company. Some people are missing from the good company. You know who you are. But I did spend a lot of my time in very good company over the weekend. Obviously, some lovely family time. But at Pit Stop yesterday and at Down Under. I went Down Under on Friday evening. And one of my other hashtags for the weekend was good progress. And we made some good progress over on the gmpvip.com site, our Learn About Portugal platform, including loads more new courses and collections of information. And one of them, of course, is the God Squad program. That was one of the early courses that we've attempted to create for this community. So I think, Ian, how about we dust that down and relaunch it? I mean, the man boobs in the belly are reasserting themselves, so I'm up for a bit of that. And I know it's in the air, isn't it? People doing a lot more walking and stepping, people concerned about their health, and the summer's here and they want to get their bikini bods ready, men and women, in this community. So how about that? How about we embark on the God Squad program together and we dust it off and bring it back onto the screen a week today. Bon dia Gumper, says the Coach Turner, the man behind that wonderful program, who devised that. Another Monday, another week full of excitement and opportunity. Lots of car activities for me to prepare for my trip to Le Mans next week. Nice one. God Squad tip of the day then. I've talked about some of the benefits of walking a number of times, but recently came across some of the science behind them. Okay, this is good. I thought it might be useful to share. This is a type of exercise, of course, that many people can get involved in. It's entry-level stuff, isn't it? And I think it's probably the most enjoyable overall, isn't it? Walking, rather than having to get dressed up or dressed down or whatever it is you do for jogging and swimming and cycling. Walking, if you're in a new country here, you can go for a walk and discover and get fit and look after yourself at the same time. First up is how walking helps keep your spine healthy. The fact that it's weight-bearing helps ensure that the bones maintain their density. You've got to make sure your bones maintain their density, gentlemen. But the bit I hadn't appreciated was the effect on discs, not the desert island kind or the platters that matter, but those discs in the spine. The discs in your spine have no blood supply. What? So they rely on movement. So much of the body does, doesn't it? Our lymphatic system, the unsung hero of our bodies. Oh, I haven't given Vitor a capital V. I'll have to sort that out in just a moment. The discs in your spine have no blood supply, so they rely on movement to take in nutrients and expel waste products. Walking creates an almost perfect, gentle pumping motion. And it's almost like he writes this with me in mind. Who doesn't like a almost perfect, gentle pumping motion first thing in the morning to keep them healthy? Running may also help, but I suspect it creates more of an impact. I bet it does. Though who doesn't like to create an impact first thing in the morning? Though I haven't seen any studies comparing the two forms of exercise. If it hasn't been done, it's on its way. Anyway, it's as good a reason as any to put your shoes on. Or, I mean, what about walking barefoot? I have been known in other guises as the barefoot broadcaster. Does anyone here go walking barefoot? Probably not a good idea on some of the pavements of Lisbon, for obvious reasons, especially if Lord Gilchrist has been out and about before you. That's a step in the right direction that you'll never forget. Following a great, no, I think he clears up, to be fair, after Alpha. Not everybody does, but I think Lord Gilchrist does. So yeah, maybe it's shoes on, isn't it? But I mean, the benefits of being barefoot are also well researched and known. And it does get a bit woo and oggly boggly, doesn't it? With some of the barefoot stuff. But yeah, probably best in the town. Although I'd love to feel my feet on the calçadas. Choose wisely where you go barefoot. But fantastic. What a great way to start the week with the God Squad tip of the day, with the proposition of the God Squad program being dusted down and in the air again from next Monday. What do you think, Coach Turner? Let's revisit your fantastic work. Bairrandi is here. Bon dia, Malta, from a recovering Bairrada. It's been busy there, is it? Festa style, Bairrandi. Let's have a little look at a video from you then. Love your post-weekend videos. And this is the animals pooping in the appropriate square. I can explain a little bit more after I've drunk a little bit more tea, which I've put myself off now. And sorry if I put you off your breakfast as well, talking about animals pooping in fields. But it's only natural, and it forms a part of an interesting game in central Portugal. Happy times. Just it's like, kids being happy at Christmas with a cardboard box. The people of central Portugal are happy with animals pooping in a square and making a quiz or a competition out of it. Anyway, here's a video from Andy, by Randy.
Just cycling home from the pub festival, and just a band walking down the street.
You say just a band walking down the street. That has a little bit of Python about it, does it not? And it's as though that recording is fantastic. That's a sound that band was making walking down the street. Did you not feel like jumping over your fence and doing a silly walk in front of them, by Andy? I need to hear that again.
Cycling home from the pub festival, and just a band walking down the street.
Ciao, she says there, and that just a band walking down the street. Absolutely love that. Thank you so much, by Andy, for that. And pictures to follow now from the festivities in your neck of the woods. No, those are my pictures of kangaroo. Hold on a minute. And yes, a very interesting kangaroo article emerged over the weekend. I ate kangaroo for the first time. Sorry, don't think ill of me. Yes, it was an interesting experience. But anyway, there wasn't a kangaroo in this field in Bairrada this weekend. Now this, Andy, it's some excellent copy came with this. Where are you? The Rancho Festival on Saturday. Here you see on the screen, and for those of you listening on the podcast, do keep in touch from the podcast, Carl at goodmorningportugal.com. Always great to hear from you. Or pop in occasionally if you will, or send me a WhatsApp message, 913-590-303. You can say, "Oi, Cinderella here from the podcast. Just wanted to record you a message for you to play on the morning show. How you doing?" But look, a pig, a goat, a duck, a piglet, 2 rabbits, 2 cockerels. Sounds like the cast of Cinderella. Or Babe, right? Babe in central Portugal. This is where, well, you can see that the field is marked out in a grid pattern, and whoever picks the right square, it's like spot the ball, but it's like more like spot the poop. And I think you get a prize, don't you, Andy, if you choose the right square where an animal. I mean, are there different prizes for different kinds of poop? And how do you really know where the cockerel has relieved itself? I wonder. What a brilliant game. Here's another shot of the grid. People watching intently. Go on, my son. Go on, you can do it. Inside later on, some of the food, Festa, and look at there's a very, very good beer holder. I like that. That gentleman there has found a way to hold 5 beers. Are they graded as well in different colors, different types of beer, or is that 5 lots of Sagres or Superbock? And that's a lovely template, isn't it, for carrying a brilliant device for carrying 5, probably more glasses of beer there. Very good, a good idea there. And later on in the evening, in central Portugal, Bairrada, the Rancho Festival. People dancing and having a great time. And there, another shot. Look at that. We know how to party here in Portugal. Anyone exhausted yet? Because it's not over. It's not over yet. We've got to get through to September with this intense partying. Oh, I'm seeing another meme on the screen. Normalize buying 100 acres of land with your friends, growing your own food, medicinal plants, and families together. This is the picture that launched a massive discussion about me starting a cult. I have to get back to that and address that. Anyone up for the Gumper cult? I think we found the property. It's over Bombarral Way, 1.2 million at the moment. It's got a lovely pool and a vineyard and some lovely Louis Vuitton furniture, I think, currently at the moment. And I might even be talking to the owner in a podcast on Wednesday. That's going to be interesting. Very interesting man, Paul, who owns that property. He's put it on the market. It has a gym, a wine cellar, a vineyard. It's an amazing spot. Anyway, less about the cult right now and more about Good Morning Portugal. And this morning, the big quiz that we've launched. We've got James joining us. We've got Vitor joining us. I need to sort that out now. Typo. That could be a game here, couldn't it, as well? Spot Carl's typo of the morning on his ticker tape. I think I've addressed that one that I've seen. There may be others, of course. And yeah, Vitor Costa joining us. Hot from the EXP conference or a meeting of those EXP folks. Let's get back to the chat. Let's go back to the chat now. Que tal, amigos? Let's see what's going on in the chat right now. Bon dia, Malta, then from Bairrandi. Thanks for the video and pics. And bon dia, Grigampos T-Duck. You had an interesting fly past over your house, didn't you? I'm going to play that as well. The Red Arrows were in town. I think they woke you up, didn't they, T-Duck? You have a little snooze. Mrs. Duck saw that Red Arrows going past the balcony and 4 or 5 F-16s as well. We'll have a look at some of that footage in just a moment. You have for us, I love walking, Coach Turner. We walked 8. There you go. We walked 8 miles yesterday. It feels great, and I sleep very well. So perhaps, Coach Turner, as well as capitalizing on this walking idea that you've talked about this morning, we maybe could do a little bit more about that on some of the tech that's available to measure your walking and bring that into the God Squad program. Because when did we do that? When did you record all those videos, and when did we put all that together? It's a good year ago, isn't it? And perhaps we can bring in some new bits as we remix it. And I think this walking thing with the technology and people maybe even comparing their walking notes as well will be really nice. We had Big Phil, didn't we? Phil Cooklin, Kuwudu's Phil, on Friday talking about how he's going to walk 1 million steps for charity, raise 1 million or walk 1 million for charity. So it's all coming together. I love it when a plan comes together. So thank you very much for the idea there. And Jean-Philippe is the star of Quem Sabia today. I do like the look that he is rocking here as well, T-Duck, which I'm hastily downloading now. So that's our Quem Sabia today. Is a Jaime. I like that as a Portuguese name. James. This would be a Jaime Oli. Hey, this is another idea I had, as well as the big quiz idea and dusting down the God Squad program. How about a Portuguese name generator? I would be Carlos Monção. We have a James. Oh, what's Holly in Portuguese? Can we do that? Can we have AI generating our Portuguese names? Oh, okay. I've got to get back to eating kangaroo and hanging out with the dream team as well. So let's crack on, shall we? 8 miles. Well done, T-Duck. Good effort. Let's have a look. Oh, dad jokes to be squirreled away for later. Stony-faced, weren't they, on Friday with the dad jokes? Ungrateful lot. Honestly, lots of comments piling in. I need to get to this morning. Thanks for being here. How you doing? What have you been up to this weekend? So let's have a look at a deep thought first, though, before we go into the Quem Sabia. Deep thought: friendship is unnecessary. Ooh, we're continuing with C.S. Lewis, Clive Staples Lewis. FBA was a British writer. Oh, so no, hold on a minute. We've moved on from Lewis Carroll to C.S. Lewis. We've stayed with the Lewis. That actor Lewis, he's brought a new album out as well. It's all about the Lewises this morning. Lewis Hamilton, was he busy this weekend? Clive Staples Lewis, FBA. I'm not sure what that means, what that is an acronym for. He's a fellow of the British Anglicans, maybe. 29th of November 1898 to 22nd of November 63 was a British writer, literary scholar, and Anglican lay theologian whose life you can see in the wonderful movie starring Anthony Hopkins, of course, which is Shadowlands. It was one of my favorite films, Shadowlands. Anthony Hopkins stars in quite a lot of my favorite movies, that Restrained, not so much The Silence of the Lambs, but Remains of the Day, Shadowlands, Meet Joe Black. I mean, his restrained marvelousness is so good, isn't it? So the deep thought then I'm getting really super distracted this morning. Deep thought, friendship is unnecessary. Like philosophy, like art, it has no survival value. Rather, it is one of those things that give value to survival. Now, that's interesting because of the memes that I was going to put up this morning, one of them is the one that you may have seen if you were in really early. I thought this was quite poignant. When you think something nice about someone, let them know. And that's been highlighted there. It's like an exercise, really, this morning. It's a shame that we often wait until a person's funeral to say all the nice things we thought about them. The next time you have a positive thought about someone, tell them right then. It's a wonderful thing. That's the one I went with, and I think that's very, very beautiful. And there might be some added Father's Day poignancy around that as well. The one I was going to put up, which connects with the C.S. Lewis quote this morning, I can't find now. Yes, I can. Here it is. Does your dog bite? No, but it can hurt you in other ways. And the dog says, only 1% of ancient literature has survived. Ah! Ouch! Bad dog. Yeah, that's interesting and nicely connected with that deep thought this morning about survival and the arts and friendship. Isn't that amazing? And philosophy, of course. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to more C.S. Lewis this week. Quem sabia then? Jaime Octavio de Magalhães Filipe was a Portuguese inventor and the pioneer of rehabilitation engineering in Portugal. He is credited with many inventions that changed the world. That's amazing. He needs one of these, does he not? Yes, give him the horn this morning. In 1971, and let's have a picture of the man while we're talking about him. This does look like a picture from 1971. He could be on an American TV show, couldn't he, with his nice... I haven't had a turtleneck on for it. It's too hot, isn't it, for turtlenecks? But I do like that look. The jacket and polo neck look. He's a fine-looking gentleman who, in 1971, at the age of 48, completed a course in electrotechnics and machines at the Industrial Institute of Lisbon. Maybe, was it a night class or was it a degree? Oh, it is. Is it being equal today to an academic degree as a Bachelor of Engineering? A BE, I guess. Would that be you as well, Lord Gilchrist, if you're here this morning? Can someone get Lord Gilchrist on the phone? Is he here? Because he's been talked about twice already this morning. Let's find out more about Jaime then. He enrolled in this course initially as an extraordinary student, number 2,748, and at the same time working in various professional situations, including the National Broadcasting Station. People who work in TV are often very interesting. The engineering side, that is, as well as the interesting lives of certain people in television. Among Philippe's many inventions are the orquestrola, wind balls. That could be his middle name, Jaime Windballs Philippe. I wonder if we're going to find out what they are. A wheelchair lift, a tactile vision system for the blind, and a vibrating sound perception system for the deaf. What a genius. What an amazing person. I wonder what the orquestrola and wind balls are. I know what a wheelchair lift is. I've used a few of those in my time working with people with disabilities. Tactile vision system, that's a kind of braille system, I'm guessing, and a vibrating sound perception system for the deaf. This week, we will learn more about Philippe and explore a few of his inventions, including the one that Carl uses every day. That's another quiz for today then, isn't it? And I'll remind you of the quiz question when James joins us. In fact, I shall ask him. Be afraid, be very afraid, co-hosts on this show. You will be asked questions. Then he's such a good actor. You should have seen him respond off screen there. Stop it, you idiot! He'll be with us in a few minutes there. Here he is here on the screen for you. Hug a slug. Bom dia, Gampus. Feliz segunda a todos. Como foi o vosso fim de semana? That's the way to do it. And a lot of fellas hanging about. It was like a pub atmosphere outside the pub door, letting into the pub. All right, geezer? Yeah, I'm all right. How's your missus then? Yeah, she's all right. Oh, no women bang on the door or hang about in the early part of the Good Morning Portugal show. I wonder if that'll ever change. And here she is, just as I was saying that, Anna, a Swede in Portugal, Bom dia alegria, before the show started. So there you go. There's the answer to my question right away. And you have to ask, but a master manifesting there. Bom dia alegria a todos, de Pombal com Sol from Matty this morning and from Fundao this morning. Morning Munsons from a beautifully sunny Fundao. Glad to hear it, Pete. Are you at the market? Matty is asking. And Coach Turner, barefoot walking has even more benefits than walking in shoes. Yes, okay. So maybe we did a little segment on that in the God Squad. I think we definitely need to revisit it next week. Health-wise, as more of the little muscles in your feet, those little muscles who do so much for you in your feet, they get triggered. Yes, you knew I was going to. This is for the little muscles in your feet. What's happening? It's okay. It's just the little muscles in your feet getting triggered this morning. Wow. Barefoot walking. Very interesting. Oh, no, not this morning. He's not in the market. He's doing some trimming. Some trimming to do for the lawn or I misread that as what's it called when the letters get mixed up in a word? Not an acronym. Different use of letters in a word. Not an abbreviation. What's it called when you I can't remember when the letters get mixed up and you have to guess what they are. Ivan or Iwan and track to work for me this morning. I thought you are in Fundao. Did you mean the Conselho? We'll get to the bottom of this eventually. Don't you worry. Antonio F. Bom dia a todos. How you doing, Antonio F? Thank you for your early vote at learnaboutportugal.com. The first question this morning. Dougie, I've eaten in that restaurant in Lisbon. Oh, I'm going to have to go through my amazing meal, aren't I, with James here, because we're running out of time in this little hangout segment, the Gumper Gathering. I wonder how he'll feel about me eating kangaroo. I wonder how you all feel about me eating kangaroo, among other fleshes on Friday night. Busy. He's bouncing already. Busy week ahead. Heading back to my farm tomorrow, says Matty. Oh, that sounds great. Chris is here. Good news for you, Chris. We will be joined in a monthly residency by Tig James. She's going to be here once a month with a special view on Brits in Portugal because she's doing so much work for post-Brexit Brits in Portugal. And thanks in part to your badgering and lobbying, she is happy to join us once a month, here till 8:55. So you're not even hearing this. Could someone let Chris know? Oi, Tig James, Chris, send him a message. Tig James is going to be joining us once a month. Bon dia, Matty, Big Tony, James. Afraid I don't know as we're out this weekend, but I'm sure Philomena and her 3 expat men and 1 woman and 39 all other marchers smashed it. They did. They practiced every day for over a month, didn't they? And Matty says there was an earthquake last weekend. I heard about this. Covilla, I believe it was 3.5 on the Richter scale. And we had an earthquake on Saturday morning, 4 on the Richter scale, not quite the scale of, I'm not gonna read that out. As the buildings collapsed, they ran to the coast and were promptly drowned by the tsunami. That is not what happened on Saturday morning. That is, yes, referring to the great earthquake. And isn't it funny talking about the great wars and the great earthquake? Not great or good, but great in scale. You're right, Matty. Pampilhosa de Serra was the epicenter, and it was 4 on the Richter scale. Victoria Benson is here. Hola, dia, bon dia, kids from sunny Portimao. How's that meetup last week, Victoria? It's a bit of a scorcher this weekend, but thankfully cooling down today. So a bit of respite from the sun. We'll mark your comment, and we'll come back to that point in the chat this morning, because I think there's a lot more to say. Right now, though, we've got to play this theme tune.
Bom dia!
Hola, bom dia, tudo bem? Como estás, meu amigo?
Muito bem, obrigado. E tu?
Perfeito. E feliz aniversário.
Obrigado.
And it was, of course, you were celebrating your birthday on Friday, weren't you?
Sim.
Okay, we're going to be one of us. Are you going to carry on in Portuguese while I do English?
Não.
Sim. No. Obrigado. Although we got a few more millimeters further into the conversation today, didn't we?
I am trying to more and more make it a habit to check, can I say that in Portuguese, and say it in Portuguese if I think I can.
Yes.
So that's where we get the whole Portuglish thing, it's like English, Portuguese, half a sentence or every other word anyway. But I am attempting, because you made the point last week at some point that we know a lot more Portuguese than we tend to speak.
Oh, yeah.
And so the only way to get out of that is to practice speaking what we think we know, even if it's all broken up. Now, I'm probably not going to do that at the pastelaria while I'm ordering my coffee and go every other word. That would just be confusing for everybody. But especially with my English-speaking friends who are learning Portuguese, it's a great place to practice that. Say, can I say that in Portuguese? And if the making of mistakes is something that's so common between, I was going to say all of us, but most of us, that it's not, I don't know, it doesn't feel quite as embarrassing, I guess, as if you're trying to like legitimately say something in Portuguese to someone who's Portuguese.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do forget that our intention was to have a longer and longer conversation, but it does remind me of what, if ever I write a book about learning Portuguese, it will be called "What Do I Say After I've Said Hello," which actually I can't use because I think that was a book about confidence, wasn't it, socially? But there is a use case for that title when speaking Portuguese, because it's fairly straightforward up until that point, that where you do what we do every Monday morning and say "Hola, bom dia, tudo bem? Muito bem, contigo." And that is a situation I find myself in so often in Portuguese society, and then I walk away slightly uncomfortable because there's a lot more I want to say, but I haven't got the grasp of that, So, well, how's the family would be quite a good one, wouldn't it? And maybe with some key phrases for that next bit of the conversation would be really good. But that's where we feel we might be going into hot water, I think, right after that. First
well, and some of the risk too, if we ask a question, is we're actually prompting a response, and then the response will just go.
And that's why, isn't it? That's why. Yeah. And then just backing away and walking and like thumbs up. Yeah, good. Muito bem, ciao. Oh my God, that was so hard. But that's what introverts. I think that book was first written, wasn't it, for people who struggle in conversation. What do I say after I've said hello? It's the same sort of things, isn't it? It's like if I ask a question, I'm gonna have to not only get an answer and then respond again and give an answer, I'm gonna have to understand the answer as well and struggle to find the vocabulary. So it's a thing.
Pretend to understand it.
As is so often the case.
Even
you know
harder,
me so well. You know me so well. But I'm sure Portuguese people are very well aware of non-Portuguese speakers or who don't have Portuguese as a first language. And then there's probably even a word for it, like saudade, isn't there? Where a foreigner is pretending to understand the language.
Probably.
As they back away out of the cafe.
Maybe it's just expat.
Maybe it is. Oh my goodness. Oh, another Portuguese word that I think, and I was talking about this to funnily enough, James, I was with these lovely people on Friday, one of whom wanted to make a special recording with me and sing happy birthday to you. This lovely lady here.
That was so sweet.
It was fantastic. It was lovely to be able to sing to you and wish you a happy birthday. And during that conversation, many wonderful conversations I had with the Dream Team on Friday. Another word, as well as saudade and expat, the word for people who struggle who pretend to understand Portuguese when they don't, would be a word for the Portuguese who are returning to Portugal and falling back in love. This brain drain, the opposite of the brain drain, the coming back to the bosom of the country. And these young people who are embracing coming back to Portugal and maybe changing this demographic process of leaving the country and being here and celebrating it and enjoying what us lot love about it. So,
Yes. Well, I'm almost certain they must have a word for it, because the fishermen and the merchant marines all through the history of Portugal, and the whole symbolism of the swallow is all about returning to Portugal.
yes.
So they
yes,
probably already have a term for that. I just
Yeah.
don't know what it is.
Yeah, but there's a 2.0 version of it, isn't there, in these times, in the way that Portuguese people have left to seek fame and fortune elsewhere. You know, the time may have come where fame and fortune is a lot more possible, and that habit might be being challenged at the moment. You know, maybe not going away in the first place. Maybe that tide is turning. I don't know, but certainly some second generation American people of Portuguese origins might just come back and reclaim their, instead of just coming for a holiday every year. Like, we're moving back, we're going back. So Antonio F might have something to say on that. So you had a good birthday, did you? It's also it is the birthday of Becky's daughter, Tali Rogers. And Mrs. M was saying last week there are so many Geminis in this community.
Well, yes, I've never seen so many people with June 16th birthdays in my life until last Friday. I don't know what happened. It's like the world exploded with exposing June 16 birthdays. Up to that point, I've known 2 people in my life who share the same birthday as mine. And Friday, there must have been 10 or 12 that I became aware of. You know, wow. Famous people, not famous people, you know, people I didn't know, people I did. It's pretty amazing. So kind of like my name today, like James has come up at least 3 times, 3 different people with the same name. One, it's the surname, but still. Yeah. And I did want to make a comment. I know nothing about wind balls.
Is that your comment?
That was it.
Yeah, but it turns out you're looking at one. Really, I am not joking. More about that later. Oh, and it's just after. Hold on, I need to call. Do you mind? I need to reiterate the question. We're over at learnaboutportugal.com, and the first question in the beginning of this momentous and legendary quiz, as I'm predicting it and calling it, the Learn About Portugal quiz for Monday today, the 19th of June. In which year did Lisbon suffer its devastating and globally influential, in brackets, earthquake? Was it 1531? Was it 1755? Or was it 1761? Happy birthday, Tali Rogers, then, 22 today. The number 22 is coming up so much for me at the moment. Which is so fascinating. I think my car recently clocked up 222,000 miles. 222. It's doing so well. Quite amazing. And my daughter came down from upstairs yesterday, said, Daddy, we've got 22 steps. I live at number 22. It's extraordinary, this 22 thing. It really is. These coincidences, the Geminis, the 16th of June, the Gem. What is this? It's so spooky, James, what's going on here. But we'll see.
Well, there were 2 other June 16th things that were really big things in Portugal that I didn't know about. One had to do with, I believe it was Portugal Day. The June 16th was the day that 1650 or 350 years ago, something like that. So, okay. So there's a good way to remember my birthday in case I should ever forget. And then I also found out through Facebook, because after I went to Espinho, I got on their site, and their annual anniversary is on June 16th. It was their 50-year anniversary this year. I don't know anniversary of what.
I think this is very
the naming of the city or just the recognition of it or whatever it was. But anyway, that to me, just lots of June 16th that came up in a way I've never seen them before. So it's the month of numbers.
Mm-hmm. It is the month of numbers, but it may be a portent of some extraordinary moment for humankind and humanity. Oh, Nubinet's, let's see where Nubinet's got to. Hola, Victoria, says Nubinet. I think I've recovered from the sun despite the rash I have. Yikes. Everywhere the sun hit me this weekend. It was a hot one, wasn't it? And more hot weather to come. We're heading towards the 40s. Oh, don't walk barefoot. A quick warning here: don't walk barefoot on the beach here, like Ian, as you will end up with poisonous spines in your foot or on the quinta, as there are lots of scorpions you won't see. Maybe okay in Surrey or Essex. Okay, all right. I take it all back. Be very careful before you go out walking barefoot,
And
everybody.
isn't it funny? We use the word here like everyone knows where we're talking about.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true, isn't it?
Here, Portugal, here, local to where you are, the closest beach, here, where? Because I don't know if every
and
beach
your
is the
t-shirt.
same.
Your t-shirt.
Yeah, this one. That's the universal here. Just a reminder.
I do love how
it.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks, there you go, everyone. A reminder from James there. Matty does walk as much barefoot as he can, and yes, Pete, I can't do that yet on my quinta. So maybe you'll have a little chamomile lawn there, an area where it is safe to walk barefoot and soak up those terrestrial vibes through the soles of his feet. I heard, says Capricorn Chris, it was 34 in the Algarve. I'm sure it was. And also, when coming back to sidewalks, pavements, barefoot, I suppose the warm squelch between your toes in the city may be beneficial for some. I can't think who that will be beneficial to there, people. I had issued that warning already this morning. Thank you so much for that and your contributions to public health and safety, Peter, this morning in Fundown, no doubt with his work boots on this morning. So what's been on your mind, James? I still need to come back to the fly past, celebrating the connection of the Brits and the Portuguese, which was celebrated with some style and aplomb in the capital. And I need to show you various pictures of my meat as well this morning. But we'll come back to that.
Please.
Wind balls and meat.
Wind balls and meat. Let's talk about those.
What's on your mind, or what's been on your mind? And did your birthday bring you any especially deep thoughts?
No. My birthday for years and years and years. I'm one of those people. I guess it's pretty rare that doesn't make a big deal out of it. It's like, okay, it's mostly another day. And some people hear that saying I don't like my birthday, which isn't true. I enjoy it. People wish me happy birthday. I appreciate it. But I just don't make a big deal of it. I don't try to have a party. I don't try to make a celebration. I may in the morning add to my gratitudes that I'm happy that I can add this day as a significant one more year to my life, whatever. But it's tough for Louisa here in the household because her birthday to her is one of the biggest deals that happens in the history of humankind. So for me to just be, yeah, okay, thanks. It's like she doesn't get it.
How could you?
It just makes no sense.
Yeah.
He doesn't. We can't have a party. We can't. It's like, you can do whatever you want, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm just much more relaxed about it all, I guess. So I appreciate it. I got more acknowledgement this year than any year previous in my life. Every time someone said happy birthday to me, especially on Facebook, I smiled. I appreciated it. I let them know. So it's not that I don't appreciate it. It's not. I don't. Well, I do get it. It's not my style for me. So that being said,
I suppose the word appreciation is my key takeaway there. It's that people wanted to appreciate you, wasn't it? And they didn't necessarily want you to appreciate your birthday, but they took the opportunity. It's a nice moment, and I suppose that meme that I posted up this morning would suggest that we don't have to wait until people's birthdays to appreciate them. But if you have forgotten all year,
we're so linked. I actually made a note for after seeing that meme, because it's something I have taught especially when I was working with parents of teens, and expressing appreciation was a big piece of the education. They say, oh, well, I thought of that 3 weeks ago, but then I forgot to tell them. And it's never too late to tell someone what you appreciate about them.
Yeah.
You can say, hey, you know what? 3 weeks ago, I had this thought and I forgot. It's like, it's never too late to say you're sorry. It's like, you don't have to cancel it because you didn't get it right on the moment. Go for it. And words of appreciation are
that's
right. Appreciation is high on my love language scale, so I'm more aware of it.
Well, we might have to give a little bit of, as well as all the aforementioned that we need to squeeze in. Talking of love languages, which if it's a new concept to people, that might need some explanation there. So we could come back to that. But let me bring you back to mindful migration. Any other insights you might have had in this last week? The birthday not being a significant one of them, by the sound of it, James.
Well, that's a part of a mindful process too. I mean, as I've said before, addressing mindfulness for me is fairly easy because you can apply it to anything in life. It's just a matter of taking a deeper look, but starting within, look inside first, and then respond to what's going on around you, which is sort of the opposite of most social media stuff, where it's just all reaction. So there's a distinction I make. A reaction is immediate. It's without thought. It's without taking a pause. It's just somebody says or does something, and whether it's a judgment or words or actions about it, that's just a reaction. Whereas to me, a response requires taking a beat. It requires stopping and looking at what just happened. How do I feel about it? What, if anything, do I want to do about it? And then proceeding. That's a response in how I make the distinction. So I don't know what that was tied to something that we just said. Sometimes I get lost in my own thoughts.
Well, that's what we come here to do, really, every Monday morning, isn't it?
Try to remember what it is in the jungle of my mind. Oh, nice tree.
That's right. Well, that's what we do. That's what this Mondays will be remembered for, if people can even remember them, because it's just part of all the same thing. I know they talked about something. They don't even know what they talked about. They just wandered around, as you say, in the jungles of their thoughts, occasionally getting out a machete, occasionally just enjoying the view. So, yeah, no problem with that. Anything else, though, that you wanted to share with us?
Well, I do. I have a couple of things, and I think I'm going to wait on the other one. I had this idea of mindful missing, that I love alliterations when they work, and it felt like something that would be valuable. But I had a lot of, speaking of reaction versus response, a lot of responses to last Monday's show when we were talking about what was it last week? Now I've got notes here to remind me. Oh, the survey. That's what it was.
You know it in a play when someone gets their line. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But we need a prompter, don't we? In a play, people just like, line, please. We just need to. What were we talking about last week? Can we get like an intern to help us with that?
Well, it's because in the last 2 weeks too, we talked about the term expatriate, immigrant, foreigner, that thing. That was the week before, and then last week we talked about this survey about Portuguese dissatisfaction, and I had a fairly strong comment about being cautious with surveys as a way of understanding things. And there were a couple of terms that I had forgotten that I was thinking about. I was like, oh, now I remember what those were. So I have several responses that are kind of hangover from last week that I did want to address. The terms that I was looking at were validity and reliability, specifically used in terms of testing and surveys. Validity is that whatever you're assessing is actually what you're assessing. So in order for something to be valid, it has to actually test what it professes to test. So a survey is professing to test the satisfaction of Portuguese people. That's what it professes to test. Well, the check on that to see if it's valid is, does it actually do that? That's the question. In my opinion, most surveys don't actually do what they profess to do because they're tend to be so biased and misinterpreted. There's a lot of things that get in the way of anything being valid. Reliability is how consistent is the result of this test across a number of different criteria. So if I did this same test here, or here, would I get very similar results? And if not, it's not terribly reliable. And again, surveys tend not to be, because they can be very regional. It can be based on the wording, and that came up last week. You know, if you ask, what are you dissatisfied with, you're going to get a very different response. And if you ask, what are you satisfied with, even if it's the same measure, because you're already setting the framework for how it's responded to. So those were a couple of points I wanted to make a little more clear. I knew that there were inflammatory adjectives in just the presentation of the survey that, again, influences how do we go into it. The two specifically that I found were the word profoundly and massively associated with the word dissatisfied. It's like, well, what is profoundly? What does that mean? What is massively? What does that mean in relation to this survey? And then we're going to attach that to being dissatisfied. So profoundly dissatisfied. Like, wow, that feels really big. Massively dissatisfied. That sounds really big. Well, what is it really? And then you get into the percentages, which then, see, maybe this is a result of my education around psychotherapy, but we were taught in the program I was in to be mindful about even our approach to therapy, but especially around testing. You know, someone's gonna say, I scored this on such and such a test, or this was the result of that test, or this was my diagnosis based on this research. Well, understanding the validity and the reliability of those things is important. So that really stuck with me as part of my training, and it's a way that I have approached any sort of assessment tool that is out there. So where was I?
Thank you for that. Yeah. No. It's true, and the results of a survey should speak for themselves. They shouldn't need the hyperbole, do they, of journalists to turbocharge them. Although that's exactly what happens. You know, journalists get excited. They need headlines and they need attention. They need your eyeballs on things. So I guess they would take what looked like what could be made into profoundly dissatisfied people, make a much more exciting headline than, you know, people are quite happy at the moment. That's a terrible headline, isn't it? Although it's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great headline for me, but most people wouldn't read it. So yes.
Yeah. Oh, same old, same old.
Well, that was the first thing I said when you read the title to it was clickbait. I mean, that was my reaction. It's like, how to get eyes on it. And I understand that. That's how they generate income. They need people to read it so that the advertisers will have numbers, so they'll pay more money. Anyway, yes. So
have they done it again here, James? This is today's show, clickbait. More people resident in Portugal. And you could be forgiven for thinking. I mean, it's an odd picture to have, isn't it?
That's just a confusing title for me.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah, right. But that's also the art of writing headlines. If they're confusing,
to pull you in. So what's that about?
Yeah, it makes you think about it. I mean, that's the art of old school headline writers. It's like, what does that actually mean? I need to find out. And you could be thinking from our foreigner point of view. Is this more foreigners coming to Portugal? Well, it's actually the net level of population. Portugal increased its resident population by 46,249 people last year, totaling 10 million. It's so specific, isn't it? 467,366 inhabitants, according to the INE.
0.5.
Oh, no, hold on a minute. It's just changed again. According to the INE estimates, 2022 was the fourth consecutive year in which there was an increase in population in Portugal. So I think these things are quite interesting. The population is going up, but by how much? Population increase in 2022 resulted from a migratory balance of 86,889 people, which was lower in 2021, which offset the negative natural balance of minus 40,640, announced the INE. In 2022, the average number of children per woman of childbearing age increased to 1. There you go. There's your 0.5s. In this case, it's 1.43 children per woman of childbearing age here in Portugal. Demographic aging in Portugal. I think this stuff's interesting. Demographic aging in Portugal continued to accelerate, with the aging index in 2022 standing at 185.6 elderly people per 100 young people. It doesn't qualify what young people are. But that's quite an interesting statistic around the aging population here in Portugal. Median age of the population residing in Portugal, which corresponds to the age that divides the population into two groups of equal size, increased. Median age then from 46.7 to 47 years, the median age. I won't read the whole article, but I will give you the link to it. The resident population has been increasing since 2019, contrary to the trend of population decrease seen between 2010 and 2018. So an interesting article. Any observations from you on that, James?
Mostly just because I am a real stickler for when you give me a term, what do you mean by that term? When you give me a statistic, how is that measured? Yeah. I tend to be very cautious with things that are presented until I have a chance to, really look at them. So mostly it's my first question when I began to understand what the article was about was the term resident, which I think they're using in the more legal sense, who are residents of the country. So that would include all immigrants who are legal residents or temporary residents, including local people, whoever is included in that category. And then when they said that that number had gone up, the first question that popped in my head is how many of those are immigrants? How many immigrants have influenced the increase in population? Because my understanding is that births worldwide are down, which would imply that populations would not be going up. But, migration could influence any given location. So that's where my head goes. A lot of people would get me like my mother who said, "Phew, that's a lot of work."
Do you hear that voice in your head from time to time? Yes. I have this thought myself on an increasingly regular basis. It is important that people say what they mean, though, isn't it? And that's why we often find ourselves in so much trouble because things. Oh, what a lovely sight! Thank you very much. People, a cup of coffee in my Good Morning Portugal mug. Thank you so much, Mrs. M. Thank you very much indeed. People do tend to go straight, like we've said before. They go straight to what they wanted to say rather than pausing to find out what that person actually meant. A bit like Pete here. Nope, we have herd mentality. Unfortunately, we saw that with a tin hat wearing ivermectin brigade. You can also have herd stupidity. Rah! And clickbait warning. And also, Pete doesn't want us to get him onto Amber Heard. Is that you're perfectly capable of doing it yourself? You don't need any assistance getting onto Amber Heard this morning. I didn't realize she was staying at your place, Pete.
Well, in herd mentality, I think it's a play. I don't know, but and Amber wasn't capitalized, so I would see it as a color.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
It could be a typo. We don't know. That's the downfall of texting. I always say texting is great for logistics. If you have something important to communicate, use your voice because people can read tone. They can read in sarcasm where it's not there. Texting is not a good way to communicate other than very effective for working out logistics.
Mrs. M is quite good at detecting sarcasm when I do use my voice, however, but that's another matter altogether. But you're right. The margin of error is much greater with all these texts.
Yeah, I think we should have a universal now I'm trying to remember what font for sarcasm. A sarcasm font would be really great.
It seems to be all fonts at the moment seem to be.
Yeah, maybe it would be the most commonly used font. Yes.
Morning, George. Hola, bom dia todos. It's 9:30. It's time to remind everybody of the question of the day, the big quiz, learn about Portugal, as well as bring on Superman himself. Let's give him a nice big round of applause. Oh, that's the wrong jingle. That's really in case I need it. But here we go.
You censored him.
Oh, he's working out. I'm multitasking as we speak. Now, me and James have suddenly got hidden. You can't see us anymore. We're playing peekaboo with you. Hi there, James. You're still there, mate. Let's take that off the screen. Vitor Costa, tudo bem?
Hello, it's a pleasure to be back. What happened to my arm?
There's something going on with your green screen there, mister. But we can cope with that. You can maybe overcome it. Or is it some kryptonite possibly come into your room there and making parts of you disappear, I wonder. Lovely to have you here, Senor Costa. of Portugal.
Sorry
door.
about the amputation there, Vitor.
Yeah, so we don't require that of any guests.
Your right arm, that looked like it must have hurt.
It's just a flesh wound.
Okay, clearly.
Very good, very good. So, what's going on behind you there? Portugal Door is the latest iteration of the wonderful service you provide for people coming to Portugal.
What? I have my office.
Bye.
Let's see if he. That was very.
You just walked through the Portugal door.
He so did. He just walked through the Portugal door, as he's encouraging others to do. What is this, Vitor? Tell us. Could you read through the slide and the small print?
Sure. I mean, this is kind of the desktop wallpaper we made for our laptops to remind ourselves of what our visions are, what our mission is with our company, and so, starting to embrace more the whole culture thing and to keep ourselves reminded of why we're doing this. We want people to not just move to Portugal and have them buy or rent a house or whatever, and great, I got my commission, now figure it out. We really want to make everybody's lives better. People coming here, people who live here, and that's the shortest version I can give you of it.
No, we get the gist of that. We feel the vibes. We feel the vibes of how you like to support people. And that's an evolution, I think, at the moment, isn't it? So much was focused on getting people here in these last 2 or 3 years. And then once you're here, there is a whole lot more. I mean, you got the rest. It's like the first day of the rest of your life, to use that old cliche. It's not like people don't need help anymore at that point. And that's part of my inspiration, actually, for Learn About Portugal. There is 6 years in nearly, I still learn something new about Portugal every day. And I hope that's what this show is remembered for, mainly, is how it inspired, helped people be passionate about Portugal. So a plug for my own quiz this morning. In which year did Lisbon suffer its devastating and globally influential earthquake? We will ask a question that piques your interest and encourages your interest and love for Portugal every morning. 1531, 1755 or 1761. Do go over to learnaboutportugal.com to answer that question. So, Vitor, I applaud you wholeheartedly on this on your endeavor here. And you've been hanging out with EXP colleagues. How's it going over there with EXP? It was an organization I joined briefly a couple of years ago. Timing wasn't right.
I think that was kind of how we met.
It may well have been. So there's my benefit. There's my benefit from rubbing shoulders with EXP right there. How is it going for the company? What impact are they making in Portugal?
Yeah, it's going fantastic. We just had a meeting at the Templar Hotel in Tomar this Saturday. And in fact, if you go to your WhatsApp, I sent you a picture of someone you might know.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Maybe you can share it on the screen. And also, I just sent you another picture based on what James was saying right before I joined.
Oh, okay. I will do both of these. Okay. Is this a picture of you standing with two ladies, you lucky fella?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
The thorn with two roses, you might say. Okay, but carry on. Yes. So tell me about EXP, and I'll bring that. I'm loading that picture up as I speak.
Sure. I mean, this is a very personal thing for me, because when I started real estate, I started with an office in Braga. It was a Keller Williams office. I learned a lot there. I did appreciate the culture, but there was something that was missing, right? And at the moment, we weren't particularly the most wealthiest people in the world. We still aren't, but that's besides the point. But yeah, we were a bit more struggling.
Depends how you measure wealth. Keep that in mind.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Absolutely. But we weren't as wealthy in almost any aspect. So anyway, so I would go there, but it was about 35 to 40 minutes from my house. And because, we didn't have a lot of resources, the fuel and everything would be quite a bit of an expense back in those days. And I always struggled a bit because here in Portugal, agents don't really need to have their own license or training or whatever before they can become agents. It's like you talk to an agency, you sign a contract like as a service provider, and there you go. You can go and sell homes. And so I struggled a lot because even when I decided to join real estate, I put it in my mind that they wanted to be at least top 10 national agents. And so I always had to learn more. I needed to understand how it works. I need to know how to become better. And so I would do the initial trainings and all of these, but the office was kind of new. There were like 3 productive agents, and we were like 5 or 6 total at the time. Eventually went up to 20, still only 3 productive agents, but they would always be busy. I'd say, hey, can I go with you and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, I don't know my schedule. So I was always kind of lost, even though I did the whole trainings. And Keller Williams focuses on lead gen, right? Calling your contacts and all of this to get deals. I understood how to get business, but what was blocking me is, but how am I adding value to these people, right?
Mhm.
Because what is the difference between them doing a listing with me that I just started here in real estate, or maybe even selling themselves on Idealista, or doing like the open listing like we do here in Portugal? So with KW, we would only do exclusive contracts, meaning that only we could promote the sale of the house. And if the home got sold, it would have to be sold through us and all of that. And as you may know, it's very cultural here in Portugal to do open listings, which means you want to sell your home. And so you do an open listing with me, and then you do an open listing with another agency and another and another and another. And then expats try to buy a home in Portugal, and it's like, oh, this home seems okay. Let's see the next one. Wait, this sounds familiar. It's this home here 7 times. Why do they have different prices?
Yes.
And so I remember at the time, like asking them, so what's the advantage of doing an exclusive listing? They're like, oh, because if the seller sells the property to anyone, then they have to pay us commission. And I'm like, right, but how is that beneficial for them? And I never really got the answer, right? So I had to look for external sources. Eventually, I found Tom Ferry. This is about the XP, and I'm half an hour talking about this, but whatever. I found out about Tom
You're
Ferry.
in good company. You're in very good company, Vitor.
We could talk about a half hour about a tree leaf. It's like
Oh,
perfect.
okay.
That was something on my list, actually.
Okay. Next week.
Okay, understood. But yeah, I mean, I learned about Tom Ferry, started researching Tom Ferry. I have there on the wall the Tom Ferry agent schedule that starts at 5 a.m. Wake up, nutrition, meditation, all of these things. I was researching all of that. And then I kept noticing how they kept mentioning, know the market, know the hot sheets, know like the MLS, what's new, what's expiring, what's this and that. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is what I need to do. If I have all of this information, then I can talk to my clients. I will have tangible data that will be useful for them. And then I can go from there. One problem, though. Where do I find that data here in Portugal?
Yes.
And so I would ask them, hey, where do I find this information, blah, 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 so I could talk to my clients. And they would be basically, dude, forget about it. Esquece Americanish. So like Americanizations, right? Forget about it, just do your lead gen. And I'm like, okay.
Just get back on the phone. So hold on a minute. Can we have a bit of a vocab check there? Americanish would be the Portuguese adjective.
Americanish.
Americanish from the Estados Unidos.
When you use the is like you're
American-like.
You're turning something into an adjective.
Yes. Okay. So Americanish.
So like I don't know, if there's something that I usually do, if there's a pattern about me, and somebody maybe is doing something similar, you could say they are doing a Vitoris.
Yes, and they will. They do, I think. Cool.
Anyway, so long story short, then I kind of had to start going my own way. I even hired a Tom Ferry coach at the time, which was like 1 month of Portuguese minimum wage for 2 monthly meetings. I actually had to borrow money from my dad to do that.
Wow.
It was good, but it wasn't what I needed at that time, because I was kind of looking for a full agent training to really know what I was doing. And I guess I didn't realize that agents go through that before they become agents in America. And that was the part that I was missing. So it kept on going. I tried to do my own thing. I even made some very cringeworthy videos on social media to try and draw attention. But the coach
I
had
still do. Well done.
The what?
I still do every day. You can't. You don't worry about that. Keep going.
No, but I mean, I looked like. Wait.
Here we go.
Woo! Disappearing act. That is so
He's
good.
This is what I looked like.
Oh, look at you. That's I don't mind that look at all. But you changed, didn't you?
I look like I'm in another kind of business.
It's true. It's true. The
He
media.
keeps walking through that Portugal door. That's amazing.
Here he comes
In
back
and out.
from the universe. Yes.
But yeah, long story short, the coach was kind of offended that I got another coach because I already had a coach there.
Ooh.
I mean, here in Portugal, right? And so after a while, after I kept trying to do my own thing, he would kept saying, "Hey man, either you close deals or this isn't working." And then they sent me away, and I'm like, okay. In my mind, I thought, hey, you're lost because I'm not going to stop real estate. Then I was in the Tom Ferry group. I spoke to an agent there that was also an EXP agent from Canada. He told me about EXP, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's incredible. My biggest fear about leaving KW was because I really liked the culture and, their values and those things. And then I learned that EXP was founded by one of the top agents of KW back in the day. In 2008, he had, I think, 7 offices. The crash happened. They were bleeding money. And that's when he thought to create a cloud-based company. And since I joined them, I mean, I've worked in many, many places before. I've been employee in many places. I've been kind of different from employee or whatever, but it feels like it's the first time I actually feel loyalty toward the company, at least up to this point, because instead of you being kind of like, a low tier agent, let's say, on EXP, we're all business partners. We're all shareholders. Like EXP is traded on NASDAQ. And as we close deals, as we reach the cap, if somebody enters the company through us and they close their first deal, all of those things give us company stock. So that then the more the company grows, the more our wealth grows automatically. This is not something that that you usually see on real estate agencies. And for example, I earned from my first deal, I earned 12 shares of the stock, which was worth about $150 of shares. Now each share is worth around $20. So now I have 240.
Very good. Glad to hear it. So they are making an impact. And for people who don't know what on earth we're talking about, EXP is a new approach to real estate around the world, basically. And there is a local representation and listings that people can see. So we do need that link too, so people can see what's on EXP. I think team members gathered. Look, she's there as well, this lady.
Do you know who that lady is in the middle?
I have met her before.
I know her.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not coming to mind, but she's very familiar, I have to say.
Her company also has an X on the name.
She's here as well. It's like, where's Sarah? Brilliant. Yeah, Sarah Davey, of course, of Spartan FX in the country at the moment, and delighted by our Portuguese tuition. She said she started speaking Portuguese. She asked for the conveniences in Portuguese. That's how to embed vocabulary in moments of extreme need, and she did. I think she's having a fantastic time. And you've shown her Tamar then. What a brilliant choice of venue for EXP this weekend.
It couldn't have been a better timing, though.
Love
because
that.
I was talking to Sarah like 1 or 2 weeks ago that I'm like, hey, we should do something or whatever, do more of a partnership and work and figure out exactly how to best work together to help our clients. And then she was also talking about EXP, and I was like, hey, by the way, there's going to be an event like next or in 2 Saturdays or whatever. She was like, oh my God, I'm going to have a meeting like the previous Friday, and I have nothing to do during the weekend because I live on Monday. And I'm like, hey, then you can come. And
Brilliant.
she did, and it was really interesting because we found very interesting details about the market. Let me see here, because they shared a lot of stuff in there. One in particular, and because we had all of that conversation about the golden visas and people are upset and all of that. One of the statistics that they showed, which let me see if I can send you, is what percentage of the actual market is the foreign market, and it's only about between 5 and 6% year to year.
That's interesting. So let's just recap on that, because James will want to be particular about the presentation.
At first take, that sounded pretty straightforward, because that's just a measure of how many, which is pretty clear.
Okay, fine. We've
ahead,
got past the Holly threshold of stat check. It's not fact check, it's stat check here on the Good Morning Portugal show. But you have so the foreign purchase investment market this is housing in Portugal is around 5 or 6% of the total. You're saying there, Vitor?
Yeah. Okay. So basically about 5%, which means that.
Go on, mate. Actually, you're surprised by that?
I mean, I guess I never really thought about how big the foreign market was, but the way everybody talks, you'd think that it's like 90% of foreigners are buying homes here and just driving everything up. But no, it's a tiny percentage.
Especially those Americans, those immigrants, all 10,000 of them.
Yeah, how many homes have you bought this week, James?
0.3.
So I thought you lost count for a minute there, driving up the property prices with your willy-nilly purchases.
That's right. Yes.
What else was interesting from the conference? And we will get this EXP link, I hope, as well, so people can. I mean, it's essentially from a user point of view, Vitor. This is a way of finding and it's a way of listing and finding property in Portugal, right? From the user point of view.
Yes. I mean, I will say so as a real estate agency, it works like most other real estate agencies, right? The agent does a contract, except the agents have more freedom and they have more rewards. For example, EXP, the base commission you get on deals is 75% for the agent, 25% for EXP, whereas the average you find is between 40 or 50% on other agencies. There's a very big agency that their agents earn about 25% per deal. So, but more than that, to me, the most important thing that I would have joined, even if the commission was much less than that, is that it's not a franchise. It's one global company. So every agent across the world is connected on the same place. We have kind of like a tool called Workplace, which was made. It's like Facebook. It was created by Facebook. And let's say you have someone in Miami that wants to sell a property. I can go to Miami, find Miami agents, and send a referral, for example. We've had colleagues where US agents from EXP had Portuguese people that wanted to sell homes, and so they sent a referral, and our local colleagues just immediately got the lead, talked to the person, sold it, and did business together from across countries. Here in Portugal, we're almost 2 years of EXP, and on Saturday, we worked 299 agents.
Wow.
The most exciting thing that I got out of the presentation is that they are going to start a mentorship program, which is, if you don't have at least 2 years of experience as a real estate agent, then you may join, but you will be required to enter the mentorship program, which I didn't have in the beginning, which is you'll have one person, and that person needs to say they want to become a mentor, so it won't be imposed on a productive agent that has to do that as a chore. It's like, hey, I want to be a mentor. When someone joins, that person will be a mentor. They will follow up with them for at least 90 days to help them get their feet wet. Wet? Is that how you say it?
That sounds perfect. Yeah, we know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Bare feet
You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. And so
A question coming in from Andrew here is why wouldn't people just go straight to Portugal Door rather than going to EXP? There's a distinction to be made here, isn't there, between what you do specifically and what EXP have to offer more generally?
Correct. I mean, unless he meant why didn't we name it in Portuguese? But
Okay.
so we are not a real estate agency. Like, I'm a real estate agent with EXP. Portugal Door is the company we created to help with the whole relocation process. So it's more of a service-based company, and we're going to be hosting events. And by the way, Maria is also going to, in July, be hosting a Portuguese conversation event. I guess she'll have to share more details with you when I have them. But
please do.
Yeah, we work with EXP, right? So I'm a real estate agent with them, and Portugal Door is for the relocation services.
Very good. Okay, James, you're hearing here, aren't you? Not only a man getting involved with a real estate company and starting his own, but I think it's so lovely to have known you, Vitor, for the last couple of years, and to see how you're dealing with this as an individual. How this is about you changing as a person, right? This isn't just about business, and that's part of this whole process. James, what are you hearing there in the transformation and growth of this amazing man that that is a fundamental part of our community here?
Well, I first and foremost, I see dedication, commitment, intention, purpose, those kinds of things. Vitor, as I have come to know you, are always looking for ways to grow as a person. And it seems to me your motivation is so that you can be of service to more people in more ways. And that I think that's how you just define Portugal Door, is that's what you're up to. It's not just real estate, but how can I help you be in Portugal and enjoy your experience and have positive outcomes? What can I do to help you in that? I love the concept.
Yeah.
At the risk of getting too broad, too many things, like, I can't manage them all. But so far, it seems like you're doing a great job of the things that you have focused on.
Yeah. Brian Randy is a fan as well. Look, hi, sorry, I had to duck out for a spell, but love Vitor's entrepreneurship and ideas. And on that note, Vitor, this is something I've observed about you, is your wish to transform things. And some of the aspects of how real estate is done, and some of the difficulties that come with it, especially how how it translates or not, as the case may be. What sort of impact do you think you're making? You and other people who think like you and EXP? What's the impact on the standing situation? And is it showing signs of improving for everyone? Because that's the best outcome, isn't it? Is a big win-win, and the industry changes for the better for everyone concerned.
Yes, and in Saturday it was like a weird Ruby Goldberg event. You know the Ruby Goldberg machine?
What's that?
Machines that you press a button, then a marble rolls and drops a book that then lifts a bucket.
Oh, yes.
All of these things to end up in a conclusion. So the whole event was like, I don't even know how it happened, but to give you an idea, on that event we met the guy who basically, his company is what provides the software, CRM and listings and all of that software for most real estate agencies in like 80 countries. So a little big. And as we were talking about all of that, because I'm on team Nuno Vencelau as well. He is the #1 EXP agent. He has over 25 years of experience. He was with Remax for a really long time. He's the guy who opened Remax in Brazil. And we've been always talking about, big people, even Glenn Sanford, the CEO of EXP. We've been in talks with him to see how we can do an MLS in Portugal, so we can start to have transparency and all of these things. The hardest part, I think, is Portuguese culture, because, for example, that guy that owns the real estate platforms, he's the one that services most real estate platforms. When I was with KW, they had this one they called the control panel. When I came to EXP, it was called Rep. with a different color, but it was the same thing. Remax has another one, so on and so forth. And so they have the data. They have all of the information about every property. The challenge is that the brokers for the different agencies are like, hey, I don't want to give my information until I have their information. And so nobody wants to be the first. But we're working towards that. We're always working with new tools. And as we were having dinner yesterday, not yesterday, 2 days ago, we were with that guy who made that platform. As I was going inside to order coffee and the bill, Sarah was there, and she was like, "Hey, you need to meet Darren. He is the owner of Keeper Tree. Do you know Keeper Tree?"
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'm like, "Oh, awesome! Hey, do you want to meet this guy that he's making CRMs and see if you can implement it with our system?" And so I introduced him, and then we were talking about it. And so we're always meeting new people. Everybody is in agreement that we need more transparency. Besides certain people who just care about their commission, but every successful agent I know, they all understand what the problems are. They are all working towards it. There are many companies working to get an MLS. And I was talking about that mentorship program, and we still don't have like a certified real estate agent license or course or whatever. But that mentorship program, they already applied to IEFP, which is one of the governing bodies here in Portugal, to have that mentorship certified. And we want that to be the first step towards maybe having some more regulations and more standardization on the real estate profession here in Portugal.
Well done, EXP. Now, when I first joined, there were the sneers of, oh, it's MLM, it's just a flash in the pan, and Americanese coming over here with all their new ideas. Well done for sticking to it and having an impact and having such great ethics. And yeah, shout out to Darren at Keeper Tree, a great listing site for Portugal as well. Loads of great property on there. And the sense that people are working together, because I think this is how things are going to get done and make it better for everybody. It's for everybody to be working together and not getting too hung up on worrying about their own little piece of things. I think that is a difficulty. It's an understandable human urge and position, but clearly the most exciting things that are happening in Portugal right now, especially in real estate, are when people work together, right, and figure out how they're going to work together more successfully rather than closing the Portugal door and this is my pretty little bit, all of that sort of stuff. So great work, Vitor, you and how you overlap with EXP and the wonderful work they're doing. We're coming up to 10 o'clock now, would you believe? So I need some concluding thoughts with you, and depending on how good your concluding thoughts they are, James and Vitor, I will reward you with dad jokes as well. I don't know if that's an incentive or not.
So if I really suck, you won't do it? Promise?
That's going to be a surprise. Okay, we're going to leave that hanging there. So back to you, James. We could have talked about a single leaf in the forest or the jungle of the whole thing, and still not know what we were talking about this morning. But we've had a fine time doing it. What are your closing thoughts today?
Wow, we've been kind of all over the place. So.
Oh yes,
I'm coming back to the meme as I think about it that you posted earlier about appreciating people.
Yeah,
that let people know. It's not something we're in a practice of. We're quick to complain, we're quick to criticize, but we're not so quick to let people know what we appreciate about them. So I would say, if we're going to take a mindful moment, be mindful of paying attention to how can I express my appreciation for this person.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much for that. Returning to that meme. I will be sticking around after these gentlemen have gone about their, or have left to go about their day. I have red arrows to show you. I have meat to share with you and puddings as well. I have a video from Philomena. It went terribly well in Miranda de Corvo, so I have a video to show as well, and a few other bits and pieces, but not until we have heard from Vitor and his closing statements for this. It's turning into a court case, isn't it? It's going pretty well for dad jokes, I've got to say. Over to you, Vitor.
Yeah. So in conclusion, I think the future of real estate is really, really bright, and we're certainly doing all of our efforts to make sure we're part of it. As for James said a while ago that we're doing a lot of things, and yeah, I mean, of course, the more things we do, the more we have to handle. But my goal and the way I'm thinking, what my mission is not necessarily that I'll have to do everything like myself, but we're always working to get new partners with every industry and field and anything that can contribute to people, like that electrical company that we've discussed last time.
Yes.
So we can do electricity contracts through them. It's much faster, a lot cheaper than the alternatives. And that's our goal, is to find more people we can work with that can provide exceptional services for our clients, and constantly improving our systems so that they need less and less work from our part, so that we can then focus on really being with people on the time we do have available.
Oh, Vitor, can you imagine when in 10 years, 20 years time, we can say, do you remember all those funny problems people used to have when they arrived in Portugal? Won't that be amazing when we do that at the Temple Hotel in years to come? Incredible. And we visit James at one of his many American homes that he's bought around the country.
I'm at 3 now.
He's buying more houses as we speak. Go on.
Before I forget, the restaurant where we ate on Saturday night, that was probably the best steak I ever had. It's stupid, ridiculous, the flavor that thing had.
Which was it? You can't just tell us that without telling us the name of the restaurant in
No,
Tamar.
I don't know. I don't know it yet. I'll have to go to Google Maps and see which one it was. But oh my god.
Oh my God, good restaurant. I'm going to be talking about Down Under by Justin Jennings, the Australian restaurant in Lisbon, in a few minutes' time. That was similarly, oh my God, as well. And Sarah popped up there. I think there are clones of her that are circulating around Portugal at the moment, possibly. Before we go to the dad jokes, you also wanted me to show this, I think, in conclusion, Vitor.
Oh, yeah.
This Sinceriod. Go on, talk us through it.
Yeah, so he was talking about that thing about sarcasm. So you can use a sinceriod. It's when you want to make a sincere statement that does not have sarcasm applied to it.
Oh, okay. Do you have to preface your comments with "I'm about to make a sinceriod"? So
no, it's like it's a dot with a line underneath. So if
I see.
With the dot
That's
and
the symbol.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, and you put that as like an emoji almost to announce what you're going to do, or do you just put that on its own? How do you use this? Can you give us a?
No, it's on its own. Like years ago, I saw a bunch of those new ways of
communicating.
Basically, symbols.
Yes.
To like these. Oh, like
incredible. Okay, so all right. So if you want to break out into authenticity, you send a dot, an underlined dot, and that just changes the context of the conversation.
As an alternative, I just sent you the sarcastices, which are like parentheses, but for sarcasm.
No, let's not go there. I'll put that on in the morning because I just today rather than
in my mind being what it is, it's like, oh, so if you don't use the sinceriod, then everything else you're saying is sarcasm.
Oh my goodness! All right, I'm not going to besmirch
more confusion in language. Figure that one out
today. I'll come back to that tomorrow. Eliane Lopes, thank you for being here. Good morning. All great talk. I recently joined the XP. Well, good luck to you in changing the game along with the XP and other. I mean, other companies are available. Yeah, other companies are available, of course, as well. But the point is the spirit in which they're engaging with this. So 3 hand applause from George Jensen and those dad jokes I promised. Okay, fellas, I'm not lazy. I'm just highly motivated not to do anything. Okay, not good. I have many hidden talents. Hopefully I find some soon. It's so hidden. And finally, I got a job at the Chess Factory. Next week, I'm working nights. That's good. Come on. Okay. Gentlemen, have a great week. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. You have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday, James, and we'll see you next month, Vitor. Keep up the good work, my friend. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Bye for now. There they go. Okay, there goes Vitor and James. I've got the screen back now, so I feel naked without my frilly bits to go. There you go. There's my frills to go around me there. Got a job at Chess Factory. Next week I'm working nights. Very good. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about this incredible restaurant I went to at the weekend. Vitor will give us the name of the restaurant that he went to, where he had the most incredible steak it sounds like he's ever had in his life, in Tomar. Great city to visit. Tomar, of course, the home of the Tabuleros and Templars. There in Tomar. I'm taking you to Lisbon now, however, and I want to share with you the wonderful work of chef Justin Jennings. Very nice to be invited by the Expats Portugal team and be with the dream team of Expats Portugal in Lisbon on Friday night. It was an absolutely beautiful evening. And I showed you briefly, didn't I, the picture of us having a lovely meal there. Here we go. That's us in the basement of the restaurant right there, having a lovely time. These are Dream Team folks who you will see on a Thursday evening at 9 o'clock, where they can answer all your wonderful questions about moving to Portugal. Part of this phenomenon of transforming the experience people have of moving to Portugal, hanging out, having a lovely meal. You can see some of the food already, can't you, on the plates there in front of Peter and Elise at the front there. Nuno, you can see, and Sarah as well. Fabulous. Here is an official shot of Justin Jennings Down Under restaurant. It is very well worth going to, and I shall take you through a few of the delights that I had on Friday night in Lisbon. Lovely to be in Lisbon, by the way. You may have seen the duck, right? Isn't that beautifully presented? Justin came to the table to talk us through these, and I have to admit, I've forgotten about some of the finer points of the ingredients that he was talking about, but black garlic came up, which I saw just recently in a supermarket. Also, we had a look at that pudding there. I'm going to mix these up a little bit to give you an idea of what we had. That's an extraordinary pavlova there. This, I believe, that's a medley of roasted vegetables, and that's a lotus, isn't it, on the top there? The flavors were exquisite. This is a very strong memory, actually, the pea puree that came with the fish, not Covilha, that's a place in Portugal, but a fish of the Covina fish. That was delicious. And this was kangaroo. And strangely enough, I did feel a little bit awkward about eating kangaroo, but there is a sort of certain inconsistency, isn't there, about eating other meats, but not kangaroo. And then I discovered that there was a kangaroo running down the street this weekend in Vizela. Follow that kangaroo. Vizela wakes up to new attraction, a kangaroo running down the street, and you can see that news article in the Portugal Resident. There was actually a kangaroo filmed running down the street of Portuguese town Vizela over the weekend. Quite extraordinary. I'll put that on the screen for you. But that's kangaroo steak there. That's a somewhat awkward presentation on the screen. Film of kangaroo running down the street in Vizela and some kangaroo steak there. I think you might have liked it, Vitor. What else did I have at Justin Jennings' amazing restaurant Down Under with the dream team of Expats Portugal? Look at this pudding here. That was delicious as well. A treacle pudding in a British style, he said, with an Australian twist. The Australian twists were superb, and there's another superb dessert. Delightful atmosphere. Great to be addressed and in conversation with Justin Jennings about his wonderful creations, award-winning chef, and that's the outside. You might have walked past it. Very modest exterior, not far from the Parliament of Portugal, just up the street, and a wonderful part of Lisbon to mosey around and have a great dinner at Down Under. Down Under by Justin Jennings. Thank you very much for the invitation, Expats Portugal. Lovely to hang out with the dream team on Friday night. Shall we go to, let's have a little look at Miranda de Corvo. And I think we're going to finish with a fly past today. The Red Arrows were in town celebrating the relationship between England, Britain, Great Britain, UK, and Portugal. So we'll finish with a couple of bits of footage of the fly past that happened yesterday, Sunday, in the capital. But we need to go to Miranda de Corvo now and see what happened with Filomena. Good morning to you, Filomena, and your colleagues at the Marchas Populares. Beautiful. They look like they're having a fun time, didn't they, in Randall? Somewhat more peaceful yesterday. Owen was fishing. We have fishing pics and that beautiful river that you were fishing on. Not so lucky, but learning a thing or two from the locals, I think. Owen, we'll bring those to everybody this week as well. But incredible. So beautiful up there in the north of Portugal. Didn't even get a chance to talk about the north of Portugal specifically with Vitor Costa, but he is our man in the north. And if you're looking for somewhere to live in the north of Portugal, do go to Portugal Door and have a chat with Vitor. He'll take care of you, as we discovered today. So we'll finish with a fly pass. Bon dia, Owen, from Antonio F. to you, Owen, this morning. And I think we're going to have to revisit some of those old videos of your cooking demos, Owen, and put those up as a special collection at GMP VIP. Don't forget that question before we go with a final fly pass today. Introducing the Learn About Portugal quiz. We did it today. People have been guessing the answer, or have they been guessing? I think some are answering with a great deal of confidence. It is actually a trick question I can reveal to you at the moment, and I'll give you the answer tomorrow morning. 2, in which year did Lisbon suffer its devastating and globally influential earthquake? I'll have another question for you tomorrow so that you can learn more about Portugal, learning something new every day here on the Good Morning Portugal show. We've learned a lot today, I think, when you add it all up. Ubi feeling the need he's sensing in my voice the fact that we are concluding today, and with a ciao a todos. Thank you very much for your contributions today, Ubi. I hope you enjoyed singing Bob Marley this morning. And then finally, let's go with Eyes Skyward now, and the red arrows. We'll have a cockpit view first of all, and then we'll conclude today with the fly past as it was seen from the ground in Lisbon. This is extraordinary. Wow, did you see your house? Can anyone see their house from there? I'll go straight out with the theme after this, but thank you so much for being here this morning, and we'll be back again tomorrow. We're going to the countryside tomorrow. We'll see Jason tomorrow and the Quinta crew, so we'll get out and about in a kind of get out and grow reminiscence tomorrow with Jason, and hopefully Lee will be able to join us, and Joao as well. So we'll see you tomorrow for some fun at the farm. We'll go out with a fly past. Take care, bye for now, and have a great day.
There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.